welcome to the Dogish podcast, the podcast dedicated to dog parents and the topics, events, and personalities impacting their lives. My name is Sylvia West, and today I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Jasen Arias. Jasen, how are you doing today?
I am doing pretty well this morning. It's very cold here in Reno, Nevada today, but other than that, I get to do the podcast inside, so not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I am also cold in LA. I was so cold I grabbed a blanket, but no one needs to know that it's off
And you're
screen.
wearing your new
I'm
Dogish.
wearing my new Dogish podcast
Love that.
swag available in the Forever USA store if anyone also
Yeah.
feels like they need one. So I'm really excited about today. Today we are taking a dive into one of our mini series that we've started on the Dogish podcast on doggy tech. And we're going to talk to Rasa Ziema. Yes.
That was amazing.
Thank you. Yes, she's our Lithuanian guest who's coming on today to talk to us about Dogo App, which is a global dog training app phenomenon with over 3.5 million downloads. She used to be a veterinarian there in Lithuania and Germany. So we're so excited to have her on.
And that's 3.5 million in 4 years.
4 years.
Like that was like, wow.
They're rocking the tech world. We're excited to talk to her. We get into all kinds of fun stuff, including animal welfare there in the EU. So let's get to it.
Perfect.
Welcome, Rasa, all the way from Berlin.
I am so impressed, Sylvia. like I have Mexican heritage and I can roll my R's pretty well from time to time. Yours like caught me off guard. Where did you get that from?
I'm like first generation American on my mother's side. She's from Honduras. And
That's right.
50% Latina. I know. My appearance really, it gives it away.
I know, very good. I'm
look
impressed.
extremely Latin. Yes. Yeah. I also got the really like beautiful German Lithuanian last name in there too, which I was proud of. But anyways, Rasa, we brought you on today for a new exciting part of our podcast that we're starting on doggy tech, because believe it or not, there is a burgeoning tech community for dogs, and you happen to be a part of that community with Dogo App, which I have the pleasure of working with time to time. But before we dive into that, I just wanted to chat with you about how Dogo App came to be and like what inspired you to begin this project.
What is the Dogo App?
Yes, so Dogo App is the #1 leading app in the world for dog training. And we offer a lot of training programs just to teach your dog some basics, some puppy skills, or you can also choose from the content and basically work with your dog on fun games and activities and mentally stimulate your dog. And I think the nice feature about us, it's not just training on your own, but basically when you're going through the program and learning new tricks, you can always consult our dog trainers and send a video exam, receive feedback. So basically you are always helped by certified professionals. And maybe talking about how it started. So before Dogo, I was working as a veterinary doctor. So I was practicing in Lithuania and then in Germany. And already 10 years ago, we adopted our dog named Udra, who's actually the inspiration for Dogo App. Because when we adopted her, she was quite anxious and fearful. And basically, we went to a lot of dog schools to train her and kind of help her to go out of her shelf and be a more self-confident dog. However, she really needed this one-on-one approach and she needed a lot of time. So we kind of started to notice that the reason why we are not training her or the reason why we are not doing so much, it's because we are maybe not as motivated. So we decided to create a product, me and my husband, for ourselves and for our dog to make dog training fun. So it started 4 years ago and there was no really kind of thinking about business and how it's going to go and how it's going to become a company. We just said like, okay, let's make a challenge, train our dog every day, let us ourselves help to kind of unpack her fear and make her confident little dog. So yeah, we started 4 years ago as a hobby project, but I would say since 2 years we are full in working full time with a team of 14 people.
Wow. So it grew really fast. Like, I mean, so how long was it just you and your husband then?
I would say for a good year, and then we had another two people helping us out because at that time we were working full time, so we just had, yeah, some extra hands on iOS and Android who were developing the app. Once we started noticing that, yeah, there's traction, there's interest, and overall, like in the end, it's not just project for ourselves, and actually people need it and are looking for it. So.
Wow.
So I know you said Doggo is available worldwide. It is the number one dog training app around the world. Can you just share with our listeners exactly how many languages you can train your dog in on Doggo app?
Yes, so we have 11 languages currently,
Wow.
and the newest addition is the Japanese language, which was like a very interesting experience, like to go to Japanese market. And we have dog trainers in all those languages in many countries who are certified positive dog trainers.
That's incredible. So how many trainers in total do you think you have?
In total, we have a bit more than 20 dog trainers.
Wow. That's incredible. And like, so how does that like my mind is going in different places because the culture has to be very different versus here in the States and even where you're at in Berlin and Japan, like all of these different countries. Like maybe like what are some of the similarities, but what are some of the differences too between the different cultures?
That's a great
Mhm.
question.
Yeah, as is mentioned, one of our features is this video exams. So we actually get to see live people doing training and attempting to train their dogs at home. So you can see clear differences between South American market and let's say German market. I think as a vet, I also have this experience like when I moved from Lithuania to Germany to work as a vet, people are super well informed and they know like the welfare of the dog and the needs of the dog and how should you talk to the dog. So there's like a whole culture of training, taking care of the dog. And you can see in the exams, like people are quite precise, like with giving cues and rewarding. And I think in South American market, it's a bit different. We often see dogs being dressed as dolls and like the way people talk is very different. It's more emotional, like, oh, lovely, 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 it's more like a game. And there's quite a bit of let's say education to bring about dog needs and how the dog training should be done. And I think the other extreme, like from German market, is Japan. It's kind of they have 10 million dogs in the households, and there are actually the number of dogs is increasing since 10 years, but the number of children is actually decreasing, and the dogs are really replacing the position of the child. So even if you go to a pet store in Japan, you would see more boogies and diapers than true dog toys. So I think in Japan, we also have this challenge to say like, okay, dog is a dog. You can love the dog as much as you do, but you also have to train the dog and allow the dog to be dog. So I think it's very interesting, and it's interesting to work with dog trainers in those countries because they know well kind of the market, the people's psychology, and how should you talk to the dog parents.
Wow.
Awesome. I think that's a perfect place. We're going to take a quick break and more questions about this when we get back.
Okay, so we just got done learning some of the cultural differences in the training world with the Doggo app. Like, how big are you guys planning on getting with this? Like how many countries are you aiming for? Is the sky the limit? Like, eventually you're gonna have Doggo app on Mars once we get there and do all of those things. Like, like how big do like what's the future for this look like?
Mhm. I guess like our main belief and kind of positioning of ourselves is that dogs need lifelong training and lifelong stimulation, mental stimulation. And ideally, whether it's with Dogo or with another app or dog schools, like we would like to really encourage people to train the dogs and work with them not only when they are puppies, but actually throughout throughout the age, and especially when dogs are turning a bit senior. So just to prevent dementia and to kind of stimulate them, not maybe physically but mentally. So I guess, of course, we would like to be present in many markets, and like also China is a big growing market, and something also on our list. But I think the most important thing is, yeah, to spread this word that dog training is not just a 2 months activity, but actually a lifelong ongoing journey with your dog.
That's really cool. I can totally see the impact. I think that's one of the things that I've learned a lot from the show is the benefit of not. I think sometimes when we talk about dog training, at least as a novice, um, we like I almost sometimes have thought of it as like it's to improve my life, to make my life easier, to to solve issues that are bothering me or things like that, and really missing out on the big impact that it has on the dog's life and the relationship that we would have together with that. And you even mentioned like longevity and keeping their brain active. Like that's one of the big things that has been just eye opening. And now you guys are giving people access to this um, in their homes. And with everything that the world's going on with right now, with COVID and all of that kind of stuff, I mean, I would imagine that's been a huge benefit for people using your app because they can have that constant connection and mentorship of working with their dogs. Have you noticed things like that?
Mm. Yeah, I'm sure you're aware, like during first lockdown, second lockdown, like basically there were no puppies to find,
Mm-hmm.
like
None.
uh, none. Like I was searching for a puppy for my parents. I was just like, a competition of 80 people like trying to get the same rescue dog from a shelter. And I was like, okay, that's nice, that's good. Like I hope the dog finds a good home. So yeah, and talking to a lot of our users, like we were the solution for training the dog because yeah, at the time there were no dog trainers to go to, no dog schools to go to, and we were kind of, the gateway to the dog's heart and then mental well-being. And I think, as you mentioned, kind of the positioning of ourselves is we're not competing with real world socialization and dog training and dog to dog connections, and we think like this go out to the world and meet and sniff and train with other dogs is like super important. But we know that not everybody can like go to a dog trainer every day, and this is kind of not realistic. So I think what we are offering is really this dog trainer in the pocket where you can just take 5 minutes, learn some fun activity, and yeah, kind of have a portion of that during the day easily accessible.
And I think that's what's so interesting about the platform too, because as a trainer who works on the platform, I've had other trainers call me and ask me why they should sign up to be on the platform. How is this going to affect their business? And the way I always explain it and look at it is this is supportive care, because at the end of the day, your trainer doesn't go home with you, and when you complete a class or a series, I always have to tell my clients, like, this is, especially if you have a puppy, this is going to get worse before it gets better because it's a puppy. So even though we've done this core learning, it has to be maintained and sustained. We as humans go to school for 18 years of our lives, some of us more if we want to be a doctor. And I just think it's really fascinating to start to see the shift where people are starting to understand, like, oh, my dog also needs to go to school for a significant amount of its life in order to process and retain this information to make it normal. It's a lot like if you sat down and learned your times tables and then never had homework, you'd never know how to multiply anything because you just never practiced. So I think what you're offering, and I think what I love about Doggo and this whole idea of doggy tech is you're literally taking the virtual homeschooling platform and just doing it for dogs. So something I picked up on that I really want to dive in with you is that your dog is a rescue. And what is the rescue community like there on the literally on the other side of the world?
I was thinking the same thing.
Mm. Yes, so maybe I can start with Germany. And yeah, I think in Germany, yeah, people are quite lucky because there's very few shelters, there's very few rescue dogs, and actually most of dogs are rescued from Mediterranean Sea countries. So there are a lot of organizations that work, like in other countries, and they are German companies, and they just organize yeah, first health, then kind of psychological help to the dogs, and then recognizing the needs and character of the dog, and then kind of setting up the system to yeah, match the dog parent with the dogs that are in Mediterranean countries, and then actually bring the dog to Germany and find a new home. So yeah, I think there are like next to Berlin there is a big rescue, but it's the only one, and I would say like yeah, Germany is doing quite well, and a lot of dogs are mixed breed dogs. So about 40% of dogs are mixed breed dogs, and a lot of them are kind of brought from other countries.
So you guys
And
have just like no strays running around, from what I'm hearing.
no, no, no. I
No
think
strays
no. Do you?
in LA,
Yeah.
everywhere.
Really?
Y-
None.
Yeah, yeah, everywhere. I mean, literally, last weekend we were recording a podcast, and Jason woke up to someone had abandoned a puppy in his yard. Like he has a third dog now because someone abandoned a dog in his yard. So
Yeah, I would say like of course these like single cases they happen. We know like when the summer season comes, like Autobahn, this motorway, like you can find a dog there because people go on holidays and the dog stays behind. Like these cases happen, but there aren't large rescue centers that kind of take the dogs from the street from Germany. There are a lot of rescue centers, but as I said, like most of dogs come from other countries. And where I come from in Lithuania, so I think there's a big division between village and city life. So in the city, you would not see stray dogs. Like if in this case, there's of course organizations that kind of take care of that, and in villages, it's more like yeah, dogs live there on their own and to the nature. So yeah, there are a lot of puppies born also seasonally.
so
So when you
two very different
well,
approaches.
yeah, so I mean, it sounds like it's very split, like between the villages, which are a little bit smaller, and the dogs seem to maybe incorporate into everyday life a little bit more, as opposed to like in the cities, there's very few strays.
Yeah, I would say the mentality, like kind of in the villages, people don't really neuter the dogs,
Hmm.
and there are a lot of mishaps and kind of pregnancies happening, and then we have a population of puppies increasing during spring and then autumn as well. But in cities, I think like most of people, yeah, like we have a dog on the leash or they are neutered, and there are no strays.
What about different types of breeds? Like, and same thing, like back to the cultural thing around the countries. It's something I've never really thought about, but like here, I mean, we have very common breeds that would be common to here. Do you guys have? Do you see different breeds in different parts of the world that are more common?
Mhm. I would say we see always trending breeds, and probably you see also in LA, like, I don't know, just recently it was French Bulldogs and Pugs, and then it was Shiba Inus, and maybe before French Bulldogs, it was Yorkshires and West Highland Terriers. So I don't know if you have the same breed. So it's always cyclical. And
Hmm.
currently it's probably Border Collies and Australian Shepherds. So it's,
Here too.
yeah. So I think like media plays a big role into this.
I was gonna
And
say.
in Germany, we actually had quite a nice law because a lot of these brachycephalic or like short snout
Hmm.
dogs, like French bulldogs, pugs, like it's recognized that they might have respiratory distress and they have might problems with breathing. Um, and a lot of advertisements and media kind of would take these dogs because they are super cute, they have huge eyes and like such a baby face, and they would put on ads, and then everybody would love to have them at home as well. So basically, if you have this dog with possible precondition with breathing problems, then we have to make a note like, okay, this breed actually suffers from respiratory distress and shop or adopt carefully. So I was really happy to see this law come into force, like where like we actually talk, it's not just a cute dog, but actually you should think about also the health problems. And yes, so I think about breeds in Lithuania, we still tend to prioritize breed dogs over shelter dogs. And I think, yeah, there's the cyclical change as well, like which dogs are more popular. And there's always like a version for small breeds and then a version for large breeds. So, yeah.
Now you mentioned some of
Awesome. Well,
the.
before we get
Oh,
there,
okay.
Jason,
Jeez,
I know
chomping at
he's
the
on
bit.
fire
Like I'm like,
today.
let's talk about this.
He's like, hold on. When we get back, Jason has even more questions. But what else is new? He has a curious mind. We'll be right back.
Okay, I was cut off from my question earlier, so let me regroup myself and get back in the
Oh, God.
questioning
He's
state.
regrouping. It's very serious.
So you mentioned that there's laws in place about making sure that people are aware of the like the breed that they may be bringing into their family and what to be aware of and the health concerns and things like that. Um, but over here, the whole word breeder and a quality breeder and a backyard breeder, like there's a huge difference. Do you guys have some different laws that also affect breeders? Like what does a quality breeder dog breeder look like there in Germany?
Yeah, I think one of the nice changes I've seen in some countries. So basically, when you issue a European passport, which is needed to go to competitions, which is needed to travel abroad, and which is probably also for competitions, you can't write golden retriever if you don't see breed identification from mother, father, all this pedigree line. So if somebody comes to you and like definitely looks like golden retriever, and the person says like it is a golden retriever, you can't write it down, and then it changes the mentality of the person, because they
Mm.
just bought a golden retriever for like $400 or something, and then you say like, nah, it's not, and then you start this debate, and then people feel like, okay, I bought this dog thinking of like, of course, like nevertheless the dog is wonderful, healthy, and everything is good, but I think it's important to recognize that it's like the pedigree line and the documents that are issued by, I don't know, AKC or like signify something. And you can't call any dog that looks a bit like I don't know, French bulldog, a French bulldog, because it could be also a mixed dog. And I think, you know, it's a bit post factum because the person has already bought the dog and they have like this friendly relationship, but it starts a conversation between peoples and vets, and about, yeah, being a breeder and who is a breeder. Like we have a lot of non-governmental organizations who are trying to track those things like illegal trafficking, puppy mills, and kind of publishing these stories, like to make people more aware of those things. And yeah, to be a breeder, you have to fit certain criteria. You know, you have to go to dog competitions if you have a breed that has diseases. You have to have like certificates for hip dysplasia, or I don't know, retinal atrophy, or whatever is required. So
It just sounds like the policies are a
Hmm.
lot more stringent in order to be identified as a particular breed. Am I getting that correctly?
I'm not sure how it is in US, but I would say we are on the right track to moving towards like, okay, definition of a breed dog and mixed dog, or a mutt dog. And when we talk about dog welfare or pet welfare, I think we also have quite good laws. So, for example, if you like, we don't allow cropped ears, we don't allow cropped tails, no declawing for cats, and I would say you like no electrical collars for training, and we are moving towards a good direction, and we are standing more for, like, we saying European Union, standing more for animal welfare than just the ease of having a dog, or the cuteness of I don't know, shortened tail or whatever.
Yes, for whatever purpose that may be.
Well,
And I think that's, go ahead, Jason.
that was one of the things that I picked up on that like really caught my ear was like if we're making people aware of the health issues that could be bred into these dogs, and you've mentioned pugs a couple times, and like we have a pug mix, and I remember sitting and watching with the boys a documentary on like where our dogs came from. It's on the Disney Plus app. It's really cool. But they mentioned like pugs did not originally have those very short noses. Like that is something that us as humans are breeding into this dog at the expense of their health, which is just wrong. Like I can't see any way around it to say that this is a good thing when we are putting these health issues into our dogs. And so to find out that other countries are actually going out of their way to make sure they know, like, hey, this is something you're going to have to be aware of, and maybe we can get rid of some of that stuff.
Maybe I can add on. I'm not sure if it's already enforced or not, but basically, if you have, like in Germany, if you have a brachycephalic dog and you want to breed one, then you have to have a fitness test. So basically, the dog is running on a treadmill, and then we are counting how many minutes it takes the dog to come back to its normal respiratory rate. So, you know, because if there's no predisposition and like actually everything is functioning quite fine,
Mm-hmm.
the dog should be relatively fit and not to be out of breath after running on for 3 minutes on this treadmill. Because of course, like if it has respiratory problems, then like we have all this cascade of
Health
other
issues.
things.
Hmm. So basically, what I'm hearing is like the EU is doing such a much better job at protecting animal welfare. No, I think it's really inspiring, and I think that it's a great, example, and I think it's a good it's a nice line to see and be like, okay, this is possible. So if you are passionate about animal welfare, like these little things, it's like it's a small law about just having healthier pugs and French bulldogs, but it can be life altering for an entire line of animals. And the thing that I want to pick back up on, which is really your specialty with dog training and the Dogo app, even though you spent a long time as a veterinarian, so your health insights are obviously nuggets of gold for us. But when we're looking, something I picked up on you saying is like e-collars are not allowed there anymore. And Jason and I have had private discussions about the difference between balance training and positive reinforcement training. And what I love about the Doggo
Which we're
apps,
going to share with everybody. I don't need to like oh, we've had these secret conversations we're not
secret,
going to tell
we're gonna
anybody about.
record one. It'll be bonus content, maybe on our Patreon. I'm just kidding, we don't have a Patreon. But what I wanted to kind of touch base on, so just to kind of wrap everyone's heads around some numbers, how many downloads, because you say number one training app worldwide. How many downloads does Dogo App have currently?
hmm We have around 3.5 million
Wow.
downloads.
So 3.5 million.
Congratulations. That's incredible.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's 3.5 million households who have made the leap to positive reinforcement based training at home
Yeah.
with their dogs.
And it's going to be
That
three
is
and a
a
half
number.
million and one after this one, which is that's even bigger.
Yes.
Much bigger.
I mean, that's listen, but every one person, like changing one person's mind about setting down the remote and picking up the treat pouch is one person in the right direction. And so I just want to take a quick second to applaud you for really just that's a huge amount of people whose lives you're probably changing. And you talk a lot about education and like the differences culturally. Like, what's some of the feedback you get from people in other cultures who maybe didn't even know that positive reinforcement was a thing, or they're like, I didn't know I needed treats to train my dog? Because I'm sure culturally there are shifts happening.
Mhm. Maybe to quote one thing, it's not directly maybe related to your question, but I just love how dogs pick up, and they love Doggo and how they show it. So basically, if you want to train, you can also set a reminder, like, okay, remind me on Tuesday, Wednesday to train my dog. And the reminder goes off at 4 p.m. 2 minutes before 4 p.m., the dog is standing there and waiting for the treats because fun time is coming. Um, yeah, about education of people and helping them. We have almost 100,000 reviews, and like our average rating is 4.8, and we hear a lot of stories like how quickly it changes their lives and the bond, just taking a few minutes a day and kind of building this understanding of each other's language, and kind of starting to communicate with your dog, like starting to like your dog more, bringing the dog out more, the dog is relaxed more outside, and it's like a vicious cycle of happiness. You start with something super, super simple, and then kind of it escalates to this, like, yeah, being together outside and having a good time, compared to, okay, having a dog who's always pulling or barking or lunging and not listening to you and kind of embarrassing you in the public. So
Amazing. And yeah, I think I cannot highlight and stress what you've said several times in case our listeners didn't pick it up. This isn't an hour. This isn't half your day. It's a couple of minutes. It's a couple of minutes to really reshape and reorganize that human animal bond that we focus on so much here at Dogish. And it's really about recreating your relationship with your dog. Does that sound about right?
I would say so. It's a good start. Like, start with a few minutes, and then you can increase. But it's a good start. Yeah.
Awesome. So I think this is a perfect place to take a little break, and when we come back, more interesting tidbits from our friend Rasa.
Okay. Um, so something else that's been kind of sitting on my mind. I'm always fascinated when people have like a shift in their career, even if it's like I shifted from architecture to photography, and that photography turned into dog related. Now we're doing the podcast. Like there's all these different things, and you went from a vet into in the tech industry of the dog world and training world. Like what are some of the like what's something maybe you weren't expecting, positive? Like what's maybe some impacts or something exciting or something that you miss about being a vet? Like what are some of those differences that you might see between those two roles that you've shifted?
Mhm. Um, so yeah, first of all, I guess what I really like is to kind of understand more areas and how everything functions. So it's not like only veterinary, but also, product development, dog training, dog behavior, human interaction, customer service. So I think being a co-founder of a company like makes you kind of knowledgeable in many areas, and you have to have quite a broad portfolio. So I think this has been a big opportunity for me, and I really enjoy it. And the reason I joined Dogo, kind of, and decided like to be part of it full time, even though like the idea started also with me and my partner, is because I really believe in the product. I kind of, it's very close to my heart. So I think like I've been interested in getting a bit deeper into the topic and getting to know dog psychology a bit better. The thing I miss from veterinary medicine is this one-on-one interaction with people, because per day you have, I don't know, 15, 20 clients, and you build a bond with each other, and you talk person to person. And it's also very rewarding when you, like, after half an hour you can solve a problem and you can help somebody. So, and during the day you have a lot of these snippets of happiness and calls like that somebody's doing better, and you have a problem, you solve it, and then you have a reward of happy dog, happy cat, and happy dog parent. So I think this instant reward, and so something that I liked in veterinary medicine. And I think now when working in Dogo, it's more like a long-term strategy and like long-term benefits of it, and yeah, kind of getting reward from that.
I
Well,
mean, you literally went from creating this change in these little happy moments in like in your country of like Lithuania to global mass change.
mhm.
So, I mean, that has to feel incredible though.
Um, I, when I have a bad day, I read our reviews, and I think it really boosts my energy and really kind of showcases that something that we are doing is great and it's helping people. And yeah, it's always a pleasure to talk to people also one-on-one and to understand better how where where were they and where did they get to, and yeah, how Doggo contributed to this like stronger bond between them and the dogs. So it is rewarding, it is fun, and yeah, looking forward to how it's going to develop further.
What's one of your favorite reviews that like when you're having a bad day? Because I have one that I just reached down and I screenshot and I'm like, this one makes me feel the fuzzies. Like, okay, I'm good at what I do. I am a good dog trainer. Like, what's that one review for you? Do you have one?
I guess it's the one that I quoted where the dog actually, like few minutes before 4, is already waiting, and how excited the dog is. So I think this is my favorite one.
I love that. That's
I'm excited
amazing.
to try that. Like that. Now that sounds like Europe if I've ever heard. Like here in the United States, I'm like, Jason Bourne, are you nearby? um, uh, the time thing. Like I know we all have internal clocks, but the accuracy, I've seen it in my parents' dogs and even our dogs when it's time to get up and stuff like that. But being able to use that, I guess I've never really thought about using that as a training mechanism. Like I can see every time I bring something up like this, I see Sylvia's perched lips. Like, Jesus, Jason, why don't you know this
No, not at all. I just
stuff?
every time something like this comes up, I just get so giddy with excitement because
Yeah,
I'm like, one more dog nerd. And and I'm like, okay, if Jason is this excited about it, like I can just imagine like a listener
right.
who's not, is just a dog mom or is just a dog dad and is not engulfed in, like the three of us who took our crazy dog parent love to the next level and created businesses around it. Like how excited they must be to just know that like they too can have an incredible bond with their animal. You don't have to be a professional to have this kind of union with your pet. So go, Jason. I love it.
No, no, no. It's just like again, it's fascinating, and the amount of stuff that we don't know that is such a positive impact like that always shocks me every single time we talk to somebody new, and we are seeing how we can, whether it's something as simple as a dog tag or as advanced as online training that we have at the power of our phones to take anywhere with us, and the impact that we can make on our dogs' lives, and how much of it is just like, not like, oh, kind of new, we took a little step. It's like this whole, like, eye-opening experience into something new, into something different, and to be able to share that with the world. And then you've taken that step of being able to make that impact, like you said, on 3.5 million people's lives. It's just, i I think the emotional side, I really fall in love with how it's bringing people together through a, a pun intended positive experience, and and uh, around some just love in the world, right? Like you've brought 3.5 million people around, supporting not just their dogs, but
In 11 languages.
in 11 languages, right? All the different countries, and like building their family. Like a lot of these people, like they're desperate for ways to communicate with possibly their only friend, their only family member, and you've given them access to that. And so that's so meaningful to me. I don't even know how to put that into words sometimes. And so yeah, like I know Sylvia already said bravo to you, but like that's really cool.
Uh, Thanks a lot. I guess for me, the book that really inspired me and kind of changed the understanding of how I think of dogs, it was, I think, by Dr. Philly. It's called Chaser. It's about a border collie who knows like 1,000 words
Wow.
and can communicate with the people and kind of know the meaning of the words. We can categorize the words, and this person was working with his dog 8 hours a day. So basically for 4 hours physically and for 4 hours mental training. And for me, it was like an eye opener. Okay, if actually every dog would go to dog schools as children go to schools, like there's a big genius, there's a genius in dogs that we can really unlock. And the fraction that we actually see and unlock with our dogs is probably still very small, just because we don't invest so much time and effort. And if it was obligatory to bring your dog into dog schools every day for a few hours, I think we would see another side of the dogs. And yeah, as emotional animals, as service animals, I think there can't be anyone better than a dog who can like lead you in the journey of life and yeah, assist you. So
A dog leading you through the journey of life.
He has good timing. He's like, yeah, mommy, I'm so smart. You miss all of it. um, yeah, I mean, just absolutely incredible conversation today with you, Rasa, and we have a very, very important way which we close every show.
I've got it ready too.
It's very important. So, Jason,
Are you ready?
I hope
And
so.
I'm gonna tweak it just a little bit to be apropos for our situation. So how does a dog stop a podcast show? There's somebody out there that's gonna get this one for sure.
Is there a question?
Yeah. How does a dog stop a podcast? He presses pause.
Good one.
Dog dad joke.
that one was, I think, one of the better ones, Jason.
You like
So
that one?
I did. It was good, and
Yeah.
it was very on par
Yeah.
today. So
There you
thank you
go.
for that. Awesome. Okay, Raza, thank you so much for joining us all the way from Germany. We had such a lovely time talking to you.
Thank you for inviting. It was fun. Yeah.
I want to take a quick second to thank everybody that joined us on today's podcast, as well as you, as always, Miss Sylvia and Miss Rasa from the Dogo app. I know I learned a ton, and I'm excited to be able to share that with everybody else. Anything that we talked about on today, especially a downloadable link for the Dogo app, will be in the show description just below. Um, So make sure to check us out on social media. Check Dogo App on social media. Check out Dog Up in This Bitch on social media. Check out Forever USA Photography on social media. And if there's
Check out the Forever USA store
oh
to
yeah,
get
yeah, 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 yeah. We got our new
your
Dogish
Dogish
mom and Dogish dad
swag.
shirts. I still got to get mine. And then always, as always, let us know if there's a topic or a personality, something that you want us to hit on with the podcast. So until next time, hugs to all of you guys out there in the doggo world, and we will talk to you guys again soon.
Oh, and
Yeah, yeah.
quick note, if you use the Dogish podcast link to download the Dogo app, you will get a 25% discount on
Dang.
your, yes, get access to trainers worldwide who will give you live feedback on what you and your dog are up to for 25% off
That is
just because
super
you're
cool.
our listener.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Nice work.
Thank you for listening. We
Perfect.
love you.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.